Going on to this Deshaun Watson thing, now time to get a little bit serious about this because there's a New York Times article that came out that pertains to Deshaun Watson and his actions that we know with masseuses. So it's 66 women that we now know of that had some type of relation with Deshaun Watson when it comes to massage therapy. 24 of them sued. One said that he masturbated during the massage. 15 supported Watson at the request of his lawyers. 2 filed criminal complaints but didn't sue. 4 were from a spa called Genuine Touch, a massage therapy group contracted by the Texans. 5 women identified by plaintiffs' lawyers. 15 whose appointments were confirmed. And 1 woman who sued then withdrew the complaint due to privacy and safety issues. So in this New York Times article, they reveal Instagram DMs. They reveal some transcripts from Deshaun Watson's interviews with the police from his depositions. And it just was a very alarming thing. He booked 66 appointments in 17 months from the fall of 2019 to the spring of 2021. So what are just your reactions to this article and it coming out? Because now it's getting even more tougher for anybody to even vouch for Deshaun.
For sure.
It was hard enough for anybody to vouch for him, and I think anybody that can put 2 and 2 together knows that when it's this much women, Deshaun Watson most likely or not did something wrong. But now that this article came out and we're talking about 66, which is more than the original 24 that filed something.
23 is recently that.
Yeah. So
concerns them.
This is a big time deal, and
really
now it's just putting even more pressure on the NFL to now do something about it and to hand down Deshaun Watson to suspension, because that is yet to happen. And he's participating in OTAs. He's with the Browns throwing interceptions, not being very good. So what are just your thoughts on this? Because this is a big deal. And the fact that the New York Times wrote an article, like this wasn't Bleacher Report, The Athletic. This was the New York Times that shed light on this situation. That's a big deal.
And the New York Times is one of the few newspapers the NFL takes very seriously, right? There's some newspapers out there that I know, I don't want to say overlook, but New York Times is definitely one of the couple that are top of the list for New York. It's a hard case because normally in any of these situations, we just want the legal proceedings to go on. We don't want to, prove prematurely if a guy is guilty or innocent, but he's already gone before a grand jury, and there's not enough there to charge him. The difference between, I had to Google it, between a grand jury and a trial jury is the grand jury decides someone should be charged. The trial jury is once you go to trial, they decide if you've been convicted. So this grand jury, which is all done in privacy and in secret, so they don't really have to give an explanation as to why he should or should not be charged, but they already came out and said that he shouldn't be charged with any criminal offense. So that's the first step, where normally I would say, all right, let's just let this play out, and then from there we could say one way or another. But it's already been decided that he's not going to be charged criminally. It's hard for me, though, with 66 masseuses over 17 months. I mean, most athletes, I'm assuming, you're probably going to only have a couple over your career, right? You're going to find a handful that you trust, who know your body, know what you've dealt with injury-wise over your career. But 66 masseuses over 17 months, where there's smoke, there's fire, right? I think there's plenty of evidence here to convict, or not convict, but to at least assume that there was some wrongdoing going on, right? I mean, it's hard for me to believe that we have 24 women now, 2 within the last week, all have very similar stories about what went on during these massages. And Deshaun, who has all of the assets in the world and all of, he had the Texans who were a part of it as well, had all these different ways to go in terms of getting a masseuse, a qualified one, to work specifically on his body. But he went out and wanted different women every month, wanted to try different people in different places. There was, like you mentioned, 24 suing him. There's also 2 other women who filed criminal complaints but aren't suing. 1 woman who withdrew her complaint because of privacy concerns. And there is 15 therapists who, at the request from Deshaun's lawyers, came out and supported Deshaun and said that there was no wrongdoing. But still, 15 therapists compared to 24 plus that are suing him or have sued him in the past. It's a hard decision for the NFL. I think he should get suspended for at least a year. It wouldn't surprise me if they came out and says he's going to be indefinitely suspended and he could, come back in a year and try to fight that case, because the NFL, first of all, they screwed up bad with Calvin Ridley. He shouldn't have been suspended for a full season. If you do anything less for a year, it's an even worse PR look, because you're taking these 60 plus women he's had massages with, and 20 plus women who are suing him and saying this isn't as important or as severe as Calvin Ridley bidding $1,500 on his own team. So the baseline for me is 1 season. And the NFL has to make a stand, right? They've done a good job in terms of inclusion. We have more, women in front office, refereeing, coaching staffs. And they've doing a good job, putting this together and making them feel included in the league. But the one area they've lacked forever is in terms of these domestic violence, sexual assault, sexual harassment type issues. They've dropped the ball a ton over the past few years. They have a chance now, while Deshaun Watson is an incredible player, they have a chance to prove something to the league, to the media, to regular people who don't follow the NFL as closely as we do. The things you're going to see on like ABC and Fox and CBS, right? You're just watching the morning news. They have a chance to put a real statement out there saying this isn't going to be tolerated in our league. If it's anything less than a year, everyone's going to point at that Calvin Ridley suspension and say, oh, well, Deshaun gets, for example, 10 games, but Calvin Ridley gets the entire year because he just bet on a game. So to me, the baseline is 1 season, but it wouldn't surprise me if it comes out and is saying he's indefinitely suspended. I don't know how the contract would work at that point, what money they get back. The draft picks are gone regardless. It's a tough decision for the NFL, but for me, it starts at 1 season.
The Calvin Ridley situation really quick. The reason why the year at the time before Deshaun Watson news broke, why it was all right to a degree, is that you have guys like Pete Rose that are banned from making the Hall of Fame because he used to bet on games. Jordan, the rumor was that he got suspended for the year because he was gambling on games. So you're caught gambling on games, you're automatically going to get a hefty suspension, but you're 100% right in everything you just said. Now that you have a guy like Calvin Ridley who's suspended for a full season that's doing something significantly not as bad as what Deshaun's alleged to have done, of course, there should be stronger. There should be stronger consequence for Deshaun Watson and his actions. Where it gets me to the point where we could see a possibility where Deshaun's the first player in NFL history that's suspended for 2 seasons. You mentioned an indefinite suspension. It would not surprise me if Deshaun was indefinitely suspended as well. It's getting to a point where 66 women in 17 months is just incredibly hard to defend if you're Deshaun Watson's lawyers. How you can have the text messages, the Instagram DMs, you have the 15 women coming to Deshaun Watson's defense, but end of the day, 24 women, is incredibly hard to overlook. You're gonna have those people that especially now with the whole Amber Heard situation, where there was this woman where, unfortunately for many women who are actually facing real domestic violence issues, you have a woman like Amber Heard who is so well known in the celebrity scene, and she's out here throwing dirt on Johnny Depp's name falsely. Now you have the Me Too movement being put, or let me not say put to a halt, but there's now some strong pushback where now people aren't automatically going to side with these women, even though it's already courageous enough for them to come out and outwardly speak on these hardships that they have experienced. It's a tough situation for the people that are coming forward, then you have to give them nothing but endless credit. But it's an ugly situation, and I would love for it to be handled as soon as quickly, just so we're not here speculating anymore. The one thing I'll stand strong, Deshaun's only right is that he's innocent until proven guilty, but it's getting to a point where it's hard to say he's innocent at this point.
Unfortunately, though, we're not going to see a trial.
No,
right? Not that I want to see a trial, but like it's the innocent until proven guilty. It's like technically,
you're right.
That's very true. In the eye of the law, he's looked at as innocent.
You mentioned the Amber Heard thing. I think that was a good example of just talking about women coming out and how Amber Heard, her abuse towards Johnny Depp, it got swept under the rug because most of the time it is man abusing woman, not woman abusing man. But I think that Johnny Depp trial really opened up everybody's eyes that men do go through these things. That being said, that's not the topic at hand, and this is about Deshaun Watson and his abuse towards women. I was shocked by this. I was shocked that the Texans provided venues for Deshaun Watson to use.
That's insane.
They rented out a hotel basically that had restaurants and fitness centers and
real quick,
hotel rooms for him to get massages.
He requested trade, and suddenly this comes out, right?
Real quick, though, Deshaun has said that the Texans weren't aware about the massages at the hotel.
But then what's this information that we're receiving?
Well, they did set him up. He got massages done at the hotel, and the Texans did set him up at this hotel. But
they were unaware of the actions.
Deshaun has claimed that the Texans didn't know about the massages at the hotel, at least.
Obviously, so he's looking out for the Texans. Interesting.
I think it's not. I don't even think it's looking out for the Texans. I think it's looking out for himself, because then it shows that he was complicit with the Texans in this entire thing. And what you're saying about how it comes out after Deshaun requests a trade. If Deshaun knew that the Texans were keeping this under wraps with him, it was kind of a dumb thing to request a trade in the first place.
Wholeheartedly agree.
Because now you have this whole thing blow up in your face.
Absolutely.
The Texans were complicit with Deshaun Watson. They provided him non-disclosure agreements. They provided him massage therapy groups to go to. And for the Texans to say that they learned about this, all these allegations in March of 2021, is just a bold-faced lie now, because they were complicit with Deshaun throughout this entire process. And what also shocked me about this is that New You Spa, I think that's the company name. The owner of it, her name is Lewis, I believe. And 4 employees from that company filed suits, and Lewis, the owner, accommodated Watson, and employees said that she gave him special treatment. There was a quote in the New York Times article that said that she knows how to get men to pay. And it, to me, feels like she was using these women, and she was pimping out these women basically for Deshaun Watson to now get these sexual acts done to him during these massage things. Then you have Rusty Hardin come out and say that happy endings are not completely out of the ordinary in massage therapy sessions. And it's just, all of this is coming out, and it's shocking, because it just goes to show that when you are a person like Deshaun Watson, that is a quarterback that has a lot of status and money, you get favorable treatment, and you get to do a lot of fucked up shit that doesn't come to light, and people are complicit in helping you do it. The Texans being one of them. That woman Lewis from New You Spa, whose employees, like one employee, Lewis drove one of her employees to a hotel to meet Watson, where he touched her hand with his penis. So she is taking her employee, knowing Deshaun is going to do stuff to her, and she is fine with it because Deshaun is paying her money, a couple thousands of dollars for some products. And it just goes to show that when you have money, when you have power, you can get away with some of these things, and it's unfortunate. And Lewis also told an employee, Nia Smith, according to the article, that she needed to keep Deshaun Watson happy, which means that now you're talking about a boss coming from the top, applying pressure on employees to now feel comfortable with getting sexually harassed, because this is a big time athlete that you need to keep happy. And I think that's the most unfortunate thing about this entire story, is that you have people that are powerless being taken advantage of by people in power. And to talk about Deshaun Watson and the punishment he should receive, listen, 66 women coming out in 17 months, Deshaun Watson should be banned from the NFL. In my lifetime of watching the NFL, we've seen Josh Gordon lose his career over marijuana. We've seen Calvin Ridley just get suspended a year for gambling on a game that he wasn't even a part of. We've seen Colin Kaepernick lose his career, be blackballed over social justice issues. The NFL, the Cleveland Browns, just gave Deshaun Watson a $230 million guaranteed deal. And that basically told me that signing a predator is less of a distraction than signing Colin Kaepernick to a backup quarterback role for any team. The NFL has dropped the ball so much on these issues that in order to even save face in this type of situation, a 1-year suspension is not enough, because you're now saying what Deshaun Watson did deserves the same amount of punishment as Josh Gordon smoking marijuana, as Calvin Ridley betting on games. I wouldn't be surprised, and frankly, I'd be an advocate for Deshaun to never play in the NFL again, and for the NFL to step in and say, you know what, Browns, you can't guarantee him that money anymore, and we're going to rescind that contract. I doubt it happens, but for Deshaun Watson to be receiving such a lucrative financial deal, despite the disgusting and heinous things that he's done, is just ridiculous. And it just goes to show how flawed the justice system is, one, and the NFL for how they handle these situations. I mean, I don't think this New York Times article had to come out in order for the NFL to step in and say, yeah, maybe a 1-year suspension is reasonable. Like, we knew this last year that these many women came out, and the NFL has done nothing and stayed silent throughout this entire process. A spokesperson for the Browns said the team had no immediate comment on the article, and the NFL spokesperson declined to comment. So not only is the NFL being silent about it, they are declining to even answer anything about it. And I think that's the most alarming thing. We've seen so many things happen in the NFL with other players getting into trouble for stuff that is not this heinous. And for Deshaun Watson to keep on going after this is just a horrible look, and I frankly think it shouldn't happen.
And two things. For one, the New York Times obviously did their homework, right? So you can't imagine this is the only article they're looking to publish, right? It wouldn't surprise me if they have many others ready to go and things that we don't know about that came out. And in terms of the money that was guaranteed from the Cleveland Browns, if Deshaun was dishonest to them, which, listen, at this, he seems like a very shady guy, so he very well could have been. These last two people who are suing him over these last few weeks, if he didn't tell the NFL or tell the Cleveland Browns, like, there's more women potentially suing, that's a way that the Browns, I think, could get out of the $230 million guaranteed. But if Deshaun was open and honest about it and told the Browns, which would blow my mind that the Browns would even still be okay with, like, regardless, going out and trading for Deshaun and making him the face of your franchise was an extremely questionable move, because you're putting, like you mentioned, a predator and saying, go and buy his jersey, root for this guy. Your kids are going to be looking at him play every single day. Your wives or whoever your significant other has to root with him, has to root for him with you.
And that's an excellent point. And we're not even talking about how the NFL has now tried to expand their game to cater to a younger audience, where we have Nickelodeon broadcasts. Yeah. So now the NFL is not only trying to appease its normal fan base, they're trying to capture the audience of young viewers as well. And putting Deshaun Watson at the center of that and saying, look, this is who your kid should root for, and it's just disgusting. And it's not just the Browns. Like, 13 other teams pursued Deshaun Watson. They wanted Deshaun Watson. So it's just not the Browns. We're talking about almost half of the NFL was actively trying to pursue Deshaun Watson to play for the football team. So it's just not the Browns. The Seahawks are one of those teams that pursued Deshaun, and they're also one of those teams that has declined to give Colin a contract, despite rumors circulating all the time about how that's potentially the best fit for him and the best place for him. So I think all this coming out at this time is it's just sad. And a quote that struck me the most in the article was that, one woman said that he was persistent in requests for sexual acts during the massage, and she told Deshaun, like, what's it like being famous? Like, what's going on? You're about to mess everything up. And that's exactly...
You think that'd be a wake-up call, right?
Yeah, and that's exactly what Deshaun has done. He's messed everything up for himself, and unfortunately, due to his status, he might get away with it. But he's come very close to messing everything up. And quite frankly...
It just shows we don't know anything about any of these athletes.
Yeah, right? I mean, I'm shocked.
Like, Deshaun, for whatever it's worth, coming out of the draft his first couple of years in Houston, he was giving back to the community. He was donating, doing stuff for Boys and Girls Club. All that type of stuff that makes it look like he is this, outstanding citizen and really want to give back to his community. But then you go and you see this, and you're more or less throwing everything away. Not only like financially, but just like you can't do anything. You go out in public, like you cannot do anything. This is what you're known for now.
I mean, I'm shocked. Deshaun Watson, to me, I never thought he was this type of person. I don't think anybody did.
Yeah, no, you never.
He was somebody that in 2017 donated his game check to the entire staff for the Texans that make their meals and stuff. So for me, I thought Deshaun Watson this entire time was somebody who was good. And maybe, hey, I'm not totally chastising this guy, because there's possibilities for some parts of your character to be good and some parts of your character to be bad.
This just can't be a bad character. Sure.
It's like Deshaun.
This is one of the worst.
Like Deshaun Watson, has he been charitable? Yes. Has he done good? Yes. But what he's doing now just outweighs everything he's ever done. That it doesn't even matter. And that's a possibility to, there are some, and it's possible with everybody, and it's a reality with everybody that everybody has good and bad sides to them. Mm-hmm. It's just about how ugly your bad side gets. And Deshaun Watson's, it's clear that it got to the point where he's on the edge of ruining his entire
Terrible.
life.
Yeah, and it's a terrible. Like, I'm shocked the NFL hasn't come out and suspended him yet. The fact that he's at OTAs practicing, you know, he had the press conference with Stefanski when he first got traded for. Like, it's terrible. It's a terrible look for the NFL, which is why like an indefinite suspension being banned for life is in the cards, because they need to be like, okay, we've screwed up in the past. We screwed this up. Let's do anything we can to at least bring some sort of decent PR to us.
I was going to say, look at the MLB and Trevor Bauer and that whole situation where it was found that even Trevor Bauer, through it all, where, yes, he had the physical interaction with the woman, MLB came, and that was put to bed, excuse me. MLB still came out and suspended him for 2 full seasons. He already missed basically the entire 2021 season. Now he's being suspended for the entire 2022 season and is going to be suspended again for the 2023 season. MLB realized their mistakes in the past where they let Aroldis Chapman get suspended for 30 games with a domestic violence issue. Domingo Germán, who smacked his whether it be his girlfriend, his significant other at the time, smacked her in front of a head office official of the MLB commissioner's office, and for him to only get I think 60 games, they had to come down and drop the hammer harshly on Trevor Bauer, and that's what they did. I'm expecting it to be the same in the NFL with Deshaun Watson.